Good evening, this is VK3EKH, VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria with the regular Friday night broadcast, coming to you from the studios of VK3CSJ in Narre Warren South. A very pleasant good evening to everybody who's tuned in tonight, and to new stations and newcomers and of course the old timers. Good evening to everybody. I trust everything is working tonight, unlike the first 10 minutes of last week. It looks like everything is okay from what I can see. So we are running a couple of linear amplifiers tonight, so I made a quick check to make sure that things are okay, and it looks like they are. But there's no audio stream tonight. I was just having last minute dilemmas with that, so unlike last week, we avoided the audio stream problem tonight. And we are going by the Melbourne television repeater, VK3RTV. We're using the internal mics and the camera tonight as per normal. Just having issues with the audio mixer, which you can see just to the left of me there on the screen. We're still having a few problems getting that to communicate to the computer. So I've gone back to usual setup tonight. We're transmitting AM on 160 again. I thought I'd run with the AM again. We seem to be doing very well with the amplitude modulation mode on 1865. So for the local lads, it'll be a superb signal, and but we were being heard far and wide on AM last week, and I'm quite happy to run AM on 1865 kilohertz in the 160 meter band. But we are running SSB. It was upper sideband a moment ago, but thank you, Mike, for letting me know that that button was pressed. So we've got the correct mode of operation tonight, although we could go to upper sideband just to confuse you all. Anyway, this is VK3EKH. We're also streaming via the YouTube stream, which you can find by typing in VK3CSJ in your favourite search engine. But considering that YouTube only has its search engine, that will do perfectly well. But yes, you can find it on YouTube, VK3CSJ, and just look for the live symbol, which will get you high definition images. But hopefully the audio should be okay. I don't think I've got much gain on the microphone. I was just taking a quick look at that, and I think the mic gain, the camera gain, might be a little bit on the low side. But everything here I can see is flat out. I would have to go into the audio setup just to see if
everything's coming through all fine. Good.
Yep, okay, cool, no worries at all. Actually, I can up the gain here. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. It's a bit better. So we shall leave it at that for the ATV side of things, and wherever else the stream. Oh, good grief. We also have a Discord, the chat window. So if you go to the ASV website at www.asv.org.au, look across to the Radio Astronomy tab and click on that. You'll see the link to the ASV broadcast, and within that window or page, you'll see the links to the YouTube stream as well as the Discord. It's a little box with a radio telescope dish in it, and that will put you off to not necessarily put you off, but put you on to the Discord channel, where you can remain anonymous or use your call sign or your actual name. So I'm currently looking at the Discord chat window as I speak, and I can see that Martin has joined at VK7JH. Good day, Martin. Also, Richard's joined in, VK3VRS, and Sir Robert, VK3XRA, and I think that's about it for the time being. But yeah, get onto the chat window, guys, and talk to each other, and just ignore me. That's fine. It works by me. There's also an email window. Try and get this caffeine to work. VK3EKH@gmail.com. VK3EKH, that's Echo Kilo Hotel. VK3EKH@gmail.com for any signal reports from anybody. around the world or whatever, that's the place to send a quick email. We're looking at that as we speak, and I can see that Don VK3HDX was first off the mark, so he gets the chicken dinner tonight, and thanks Don. He says, let's have a quick look at his signal report he's got here. He says that great signals as usual tonight, 20 over 9 on 80 and 10 over 9 on 160 AM sounds great. So I think that's just a copy and paste of last week's email. So, so thanks Dom, excellent stuff, and that would be on his Super Anan 8000, I would imagine. Alright, now I've got a few little things here tonight. I'm not sure if I'll be able to fill up the whole hour, but usually I do. With Gunge, we'll ignore anything to do with Will Smith, and carry on. Wasn't that amazing? Anyway, the Astronomical Society of Victoria, founded in 1922, comprises well over 1,600 members throughout Victoria and Australia. Membership of the Society is open to all persons with an interest in astronomy. The Society's objectives are to encourage the study and practice of astronomy and to disseminate the knowledge of the science and to provide greater facilities for the study among its members. Monthly meetings are usually held on the second Wednesday of each month, except in January, the latter being held on a Saturday night. Meetings start at 8 p.m. at the Mulia Hall, Burwood Avenue, Melbourne, near the Melbourne Observatory, which is located adjacent to the Shrine of Remembrance. Parking is available Burwood Avenue, Dells Brooks Drive, and surrounding streets. Admission is free, and visitors, of course, are most welcome. Privileges of membership include the right to borrow books, periodicals, and other publications from the Society's extensive library located at the Melbourne Observatory, receipt of the ASV magazine Crux containing articles and news and observing notes and the like, and the free provision of the Astronomical Yearbook. Access is available to telescopes on members' nights held regularly at the Melbourne Observatory and after the monthly meetings, if weather permitting. These instruments include the Society's 300mm equatorial reflector and a 300mm portable reflector. There's also a 200mm refractor which is managed by the Royal Botanic Gardens, and a photoheliograph which are also housed at the observatory. The Society also has a number of 200mm reflectors available for short period loan, so members can try before you buy idea. Regular Society Club Night meetings are held on the first and last Fridays of each month at the Lodge, and the Society's property located in Burwood. Members are also encouraged to use the Society's instruments located there to gain first-hand experience in how to use a telescope. These instruments include a 508mm equatorial reflector and a number of smaller reflectors. Members are also encouraged to make use of the Society's country property located just north of Heathcote, considered a dark sky site, some 90-minute drive north of Melbourne. There are a range of instruments available for members to use at that location, which require a little bit of training, and these instruments available to members include two telescopes, a 300mm and a 1000mm aperture telescope. Also located on the site is an 8.5 metre radio steerable telescope which members can access with involvement with the radio astronomy section. Members are encouraged to make and use telescopes. Advice and help on both matters are provided willingly to newcomers desiring to do the same. Instrument making is only one of the number of common interest activities catered for within the Society. Other areas of interest that members can participate in include deep sky observing, astrophotography, lunar and planetary observing, auroral, meteor, comet, radio astronomy, computing, cosmology and astrophysics, historical studies and research and astronomy in general. Contact details for various section directors can be found in the yearbook, but if you don't have the yearbook, then you can go to the website where links to each section is available and contact details are available if any of those sections sound of interest to you. Further information can be obtained by visiting the ASV website, and notifications of events are given in the Crux Extra Bulletins, sent every other week as an alternative to the Crux newsletter that gets sent out. Also, ASV will conform to all government health directives in regards to ASV events, which may be required to be cancelled, postponed, or moved to a different date, as it all depends. So you can write to the ASV by going to sending a letter to the Secretary, Astronomical Society of Victoria, GPO Box 1059, Melbourne, Victoria 3001. That's writing to the Secretary, Astronomical Society of Victoria, GPO Box 1059, Melbourne, Victoria 3001. But you can also go to the email address at ASV, that is www.asv.org.au. No, is that right? I think that's right. I've forgotten all of a sudden. Let me just have a quick look at our homepage here. I say it every week and I forget. www.asv.org.au. There's no .com in there. www.asv.org.au, and all will be revealed. So, all right. You're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, and we welcome all folks to tonight's session. G'day to Mike, VK3XL, who's come up on the chat window there, and I think that's about it at the moment that I can see. Yeah, all right.
Thank you.
No worries. All right. Now, last Saturday, the ASV saw the Messier Star Party, and it was a great success. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go there, but we saw about I think in the vicinity of 370 people rolled up to the meeting. So that's a pretty successful get together up there. And probably the highlight of the Messier Star Party was the official opening of the All Disabilities Telescope, special telescope that's been specially designed and installed to suit folks that are in wheelchair. For instance, if they're in a wheelchair, this telescope gives them access to looking through the eyepiece without struggling, literally. If you're in a wheelchair, the eyepiece is right there at eye level, and the telescope can be manoeuvred at any point in the sky with the eyepiece remaining at the eye level from the comfort of a wheelchair. So the ASV has spent quite a lot of effort in getting this new roll-off observatory. It's right next to the larger roll-off roof observatory, which houses the 40-incher telescope. So there's been various things that have been improved on the site up there, like special paths created, bitumen type paths, so that if there is any folks that come up on a wheelchair, and apparently the ASV has, I think I remember reading somewhere that we've got 12 members make up ASV that have some sort of I think wheelchair access or disabled in some way, but would love to be able to look through a telescope. So the Society is working hard on making folks that are disabled in some way to be able to share the experience of looking through a telescope. Interestingly enough, the ABC was present at the Star Party on the weekend, and they had a camera crew and a young reporter. And in fact, the fact that I'm remembering it now, just a moment ago, I just didn't think about it. I would have run the story here, because the ABC News on Saturday night, or was it Sunday? I think it was Saturday night, featured the report. It only went for a couple of minutes, but you're able to see the telescope, and spoke to one of the lads there that found it difficult to stand at a telescope normally, and finds the new telescope design concept a lifesaver as far as being able to comfortably look through a telescope. That news report, I believe, is the link to that. In fact, it is on the Facebook page. So if you're onto Facebook, you can find that link to that ABC report via the link provided on the Astronomical Society of Victoria's Facebook page. In fact, I'm not sure. I'm on the home page right now, the ASV. There might be a link already there, not that I can see. There doesn't appear to be anything there that I can see. Anyway, on the home page at least. Alright, this is VK3EKH. Alright, something keeps making noises behind me. It's aging equipment behind me, it's making the odd crackle and pop, so I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. Alright, so yes, so that was very successful, having the ABC film crew out there to report on that. It was quite good to see. Okay, so now it's the 1st of April, and we have a monthly meeting coming up, and let me just see when that date is. It's going to be the 6th, I think it's the 6th of April is our first, no, the 13th, sorry, now we're getting it right. The 13th of April, the first monthly meeting from the ASV, which will be conducted at the Herbarium Muller Hall in Melbourne, and there's a guest speaker for that meeting. His name is Professor Junan Ham Archer. I don't think he's a ham radio operator, but he's an associate professor, Juan Ham Archer, who will present a talk on Indigenous astronomy. And in fact, I've got a little slide that I can bring up on that one. I can click on the wrong thing here. Let me see if I can just bring that up on the screen. Just a little bit of advertising stuff. Okay, bring back the audio. Alright, there's the chap on the screen, so if you're watching YouTube or the ATV repeater, you can see the fellow there. He's going to be talking about Indigenous astronomy, drawing on his recently launched book called The First Astronomers, How Indigenous Elders Read the Stars. Duane will discuss Indigenous sky knowledge. First Nations elders are expert observers of the stars. They teach that everything on the land is reflected in the sky, and everything in the sky is reflected on the land. These living systems of knowledge challenge conventional ideas about the nature of science and the longevity of oral tradition. Indigenous science is dynamic, adapting to changes in the skies and on Earth, pointing the way for a world facing profound disruptions of climate change. So that's on the 13th of April, Wednesday the 13th from 8 p.m. It'll be beamed live on Facebook, the ASV page on Facebook, and also the ASV YouTube link as well. So you'll be able to see that in real time, at least. So I'll remind you folks next Friday of that as well. This is VK3EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria. Time is 19 past the hour. Okay, so the next thing we have here, because it is the beginning of the month, we have Sky Notes as presented by Tanya Hill. I think it's still by Tanya Hill, the resident astronomer at the planetarium. I need to actually confirm that, so I'll try to remind myself to do that. G'day Cassiope. Yeah, Nebs, he's joined the group. In fact, Paul is there too, VK3 Delta Bravo Papa. G'day chaps, thanks for joining on the chat window there. And Kim, VK5 FUSC. G'day Kim. Alright, so Sky Notes for April 2020. Let's see, I haven't gone through, haven't read anything through these yet, so I'm going to try and be quick with them, because Sky Notes always take about half an hour to go through. And there is a couple of slides I've got here that I saved, so what shall we do? Yeah, okay, I'll bring up the slide of some exoplanets, because apparently we have now reached 5,000 exoplanets, but let's see what the article says. Once again, the audio disappears when I do that. So up on the YouTube screen, or the RTV screen, there should be an image. And let's see, exoplanets in abundance. Just announced by NASA, is a new tally of 5,000 planets around other stars, and the count continues. Enjoy the latest news, videos and related pages about the search for alien worlds on their exoplanet exploration page. There's a link provided there. One extraordinary example is WASP, WASP-121b, WASP 121b. It's a hot Jupiter, they call it, that orbits very close to its parent star. It gives evidence of a water cycle, clouds and metal atmospheric temperatures, or clouds of metal I should say, atmospheric temperatures from 1500 to 3000 degrees Celsius, and winds that sweep from day side to night side of this tidally locked planet. And I've just got a artist's image up on the screen as I speak, and which shows the size of some of these gas giants in relation to I thought there might have been an Earth in there, but there's not. So they're big exoplanets, let's say that. And so if you're watching YouTube or the repeat, you can see what I'm referring to. The various sizes of exoplanets. It's amazing that they can tell so much from a far distance with these exoplanets that they're discovering. It really is quite outstanding. But 5,000 is the tally now for probably just a little bit over that by now, I'd say, for exoplanets being discovered. Pretty amazing, isn't it? Okay, back to the camera, and now into the rest of the sky notes. Okay. Alright, now, just in case you've forgotten, daylight saving goes back an hour on Sunday, so we go back to our normal standard Eastern Standard Time. So we go back 1 hour on Sunday, and so we get a little bit of daylight back in the mornings, and we lose our daylight in the evenings. That's okay. So from the 1st of April, the sun rose at 7:33, setting at 7:14, and then by Monday, the 11th of April, the sun will rise at 6:42 and set at 5:59, with a day length of 11 hours 16 minutes. By the 21st of April, Thursday, the 21st of April, the sun will rise at 6:51 and set at 5:45. The day will be 10 hours and 53 minutes long. And then by the end of the month, the 30th of April, Saturday the 30th, sunrise will be at 6:59, setting at 5:34, with a day length of 10 hours and 34 minutes. Moon phases. For those that observe the moon, there's a new moon yesterday, the 1st of April. Not sure if I noticed that. Probably too much cloud around, to be honest. But yeah, there was a new moon yesterday. There's a first quarter on Saturday the 9th, and a full moon on Sunday the 17th, and back to a third quarter on the 23rd of April, Saturday. As far as the moon distance from Earth is concerned, on the 8th of April, Friday the 8th, will be at lunar apogee, furthest from the Earth, at 404,268 kilometres, and on Wednesday the 20th, at the lunar apogee is lunar apogee nearest to the Earth at 365,143 kilometres. Now they've got something here on the receding moon. Let's see what they're talking about here quickly. Our receding moon and slowing Earth, they're reporting on. While the average moon distance is 385,000 kilometres, our natural satellite has a 28-day elliptical orbit which varies its distance by about 50,000 kilometres. If converted to a measurement based on the speed of light, the moon lies a little over 1 light second away. Its moonshine reaches us in about a second. Over time, however, the moon is moving away from the Earth by 3 to 4 centimetres per year. This has been confirmed by use of the Apollo-era retro-reflective mirror arrays left on the lunar surface. 50 years of precision measurements have made have been made to determine the Moon's rate of recession. The cause is gravitational tidal interactions between Earth and Moon, which slows our planet's rate of spin. Some of its angular momentum or rotational energy transfers to the Moon, which enlarges its orbit, thereby increasing its distance from us. Over billions of years, this process has already moved the Moon away and slowed its spin so that only one side now faces the Earth. The Moon's orbit and rotation are equal, both like taking 28 days. If Earth and Moon remain in existence long enough, then this process is expected to end when both bodies become mutually tidally locked with equal spin rates, and the distance between them will become fixed with the same sides of the Earth and Moon facing each other forever. A slower spinning Earth will, of course, mean a much longer day in that far-off future. And there is actually a little picture here of the Earth and the Moon, which I'll just bring up on the system. Where is it? There it is, and go to there. Okay, alright, now on the standard definition picture on the ATV repeater, it's just a little blurry to see what's up there on the screen, but in regards to the sky notes, what you're seeing on Vision, on YouTube and the TV there, is it says here that Earth at the left and the Moon at the right is a true scale in terms of distance and relative size. So this picture you see here on the screen was taken by the Osiris Rex probe, OSIRIS, OSIRIS, that's probably the word, Osiris Rex probe, OSIRIS Rex probe. I know that's an acronym, stands for something. In 2017, it was taken in 2017, and it was leaving the Earth-Moon system. It shows the two bodies at effectively lunar apogee, their maximum distance apart. So on a scale of kind of like 1 to 1, I suppose, in relative size to each other, that image you're seeing there is a complete one-shot image of the Earth with the Moon in shot, all taken in one shot. So it's nice to see that, isn't it? It's quite it gives you a bit of an idea, the perspective of things. Alright, bring back to me. Now, continuing on with sky notes, time is 10:28 already. Quickly it goes. The Moon is 30 the Moon is 30 Earth diameters away, but not an easy comparison. Consider the Earth a basketball and the Moon a tennis ball when they with them placed 7 meters apart. A small effect of our Moon drawing away is that its angular diameter will reduce. In the skies it will look smaller and smaller. At some point in time it will no longer cover the Sun, and the extraordinary phenomenon of total solar eclipses will no longer occur. If intelligent beings are on Earth in 600 million years, then presumably there will be a final solar eclipse to experience. That'll be something. 600 million years. I doubt it somehow. Now, how long to get to the Moon is another question being asked here. A trip to the Moon is often said to take 3 days by spacecraft, but that will depend on the path or the trajectory taken, the speed of the craft, and whether it is to enter into lunar orbit or do a direct crash landing or to do a flyby of the Moon, all these factors. Apollo 16 astronauts in 1972 took 3 days and a little over 2 hours to reach lunar orbit, but later probes have been faster or slower depending on their mission. The faster trip so far was NASA's New Horizons probe in 2006, which crossed the Moon's orbit in 8.5 hours after its launch to Pluto. The slowest was the European Smart 1 probe in 2003 that took 1 year and 6 weeks. Took 6 weeks using a highly efficient Exxon ion engine. Highly efficient? Took that long? Yeah, alright. Okay, now onto planets. Mercury has recently completed a pass behind the Sun, but it is too close to be seen this month. Venus is the bright morning star, again this month rising around 2 a.m. in the northeast before fading in the dawn light. Earth passed the autumn equinox last month. As we move towards mid-year, our planet's axis of rotation, tilted at a fixed angle of 23.5 degrees with respect to the Earth's orbit, will progressively lean the southern hemisphere way from the Sun until once more we slip into winter. Mars is visible near bright Venus in the northeastern skies, rising from 3 a.m. before it too is lost in the early morning light. Jupiter is bright and clear from around 3 a.m. in the east, after which it will be lost in the dawn light. Saturn precedes Jupiter, rising around 12:30 a.m. in the northeast, fainter with a slight yellow tinge. It will remain visible until lost in the early morning light too. Meteors. April's main meteor shower is the Lyrids. It's centered near the bright star Vega, low in the north at 3 a.m. It is active from 16th to 25th, peaking on the 23rd of April. Better placed is the Pi Pupids, associated with comet Grigg Strilgarup, which peaks on the 24th, centered low in the southwest near Canopus in Coronal. So we've got two meteor showers this month. The Lyrids peaking 22nd and 23rd. They don't tell you exactly how many meteors per hour is predicted with these ones here in this one, but nevertheless, there it is. And then there's the Pi Pupids, which is associated with comet Grigg, and which peaks on the 24th of April, centered low in the southwest near Canopus. Okay, alright. Stars and constellations. In the south, the Southern Cross can be found on its side in the southeast, with the two pointers below. To the right of the cross in the southwestern sky is the star Canopus, the second brightest star in the night sky. Low in the south is Achernar, the head of the river Eridanus. Achernar never sets in Melbourne. It is called a circumpolar star, as it moves through a half circle around the south celestial pole during the night as Earth rotates on its axis. In fact, they've got a little gift image running here, which I should be able to run too for what it's worth. Okay, back to there, and it's on a loop. Alright. So what Sky Notes is saying here is that also circumpolar are the stars of the Southern Cross and the two pointers, Alpha and Beta Centauri, the brightest and second brightest stars in Centaurus and the mythical Centaur. From southern Australia, and weather permitting, you can observe these stars every hour of the night on every night of the year. Why circumpolar, you might ask? The term circumpolar is from the Latin circum, meaning around about or around, hence circumference or circumnavigate or circumscribe. As Earth rotates, these stars complete a circular path every 24 hours around the South Celestial Pole, SCP. This is the point in the sky we imagine the axis of the Earth, extending from the South Pole it points to in space. If you were at the South Pole, that would be above your head at the zenith. However, in Melbourne, the South Celestial Pole is offset in our sky to a point 38 degrees above the southern horizon. It's kind of showing there in that little diagram that's running there. In fact, there's a little thing about the diagram. They say here about this diagram that you're seeing, a simple graphic of the Earth's rotational axis extending into space from south and north poles to the south and north celestial poles. The celestial equator is an extension into space of the Earth's equator, while the ecliptic coincides with the plane of its orbit around the Sun. So that's what that little graphic is that you're seeing there. You're tuned to VK3EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with the regular Friday night broadcast. So circumpolar stars transverse our sky at night when they are visible and then complete their circuit during the daytime when they are not visible. As our side of the Earth turns away from the Sun in an easterly direction, giving us local sunset, with dusk fading into twilight and then full night, we see stars move from east to west along with any visible planets and the Moon too, if above the horizon. With our planet rotating in an easterly direction, these all move in the opposite direction in a westerly direction. Stars that are not circumpolar rise or set at some stage during the night, but circumpolar stars, being close to the south celestial pole, never rise or set. They remain above the horizon at all times, I think they're trying to say there. In the southern hemisphere, if you look south, you see these stars move clockwise around the sky during the night. Okay, so let's see what else I've got here. Alright, just quickly reading this. Returning to April's night sky, in the southwest, if you are away from bright city lights, you can see the large and small clouds of Magellan, two small neighbouring galaxies to our own Milky Way. They appear as regular fuzzy patches, as isolated away from the broad band of stars that runs southeast to northwest, which is our inside edge on the view of our own galaxy. In less light polluted skies, you can easily see the Milky Way, several dark regions that are vast clouds of dust. Whilst we may see a few foreground stars, the dark areas behind obscure our view of the more distant stars of our galaxy. The obvious dark one adjacent to the cross is the coal sack, which you used to be able to see the coal sack from Melbourne, but not really, unless you drive an hour or so out from the city area. But the coal sack you can easily see by eye up at the dark sky site, ASV's dark sky site. They also talk about no, won't worry about that. Okay, International Space Station. The International Space Station orbits every 90 minutes at an average distance of 400 kilometres, appearing like a bright star moving across the sky. Here are some bright passes expected this month over Melbourne and central Victoria. On the morning of Sunday the 10th of April, you'll see the International Space Station shoot across at 5:50 am to 5:56 am, coming in from the west-southwest to the northeast. Then also on Monday the 11th, the next day, you'll see the International Space Station at 5:04 am to 5:08 am, coming in from the south-southwest to the northeast. And then in the evening of Monday the 18th, starting its pass at 7:20 p.m. to 7:24 p.m, coming in from the northwest to the south-southeast. And then again in the evening on Tuesday the 19th of April at 6:32 p.m. to 6:38 p.m, coming in from the northwest to the southeast. Heavens Above. If you go to the Heavens Above website, Heavens Above gives predictions for visible passes of the space station and major satellites, live sky views and 3D visualizations. So if you you can join to Heavens Above. It's just a matter of signing up with your location and a password and that. There's no money or anything like that. It's just a free little website that's been running for quite a while now. And you type in your latitude and longitude, and that will give you the times that any celestial object will be in view of the sky and any amateur satellites and whatnot. Heavensabove.com. Alright, it is the 1st of April, so they've got a few dates here, but I'll only read just a couple here, I think, just to move it along here. Okay, on the 1st of April 1948, Alpha and Bethe and Gamow published their famous paper on the Hot Big Bang. I'm not sure on that second name, but on the 1st of April you might have thought that might have been a joke, but it's not. On the 1st of April 1948, Althea, or maybe it's, I don't know, it's Althea, Beth and Gamow published their famous paper on the Hot Big Bang. On the 2nd of April 1845, Fitzhugh and Folliot, it's a French word, take the first photograph of the Sun. I don't know how you pronounce that. On the 3rd of April 1966, Luna 10 became the first spacecraft to orbit the Moon. On the 6th of April 1973, Pioneer 11 probe launched to Jupiter and Saturn. On the 8th of April 1732, the birth of David Rittenhouse, who determined Earth-Sun distance of 150 million kilometres. 1732, that was determined by David Rittenhouse. Interesting. On the 9th of April 1959, NASA first cohort of astronauts, the Mercury 7, are announced. On the 11th of April 1905, Einstein's special theory of relativity is published. Also on the 11th of April 1970, Apollo 13 was launched on its ill-fated mission. And I'll read this last date. On Apollo 12, getting my Apollos mixed up here. On April the 12th is what I was going to say. On April the 12th, 1633, Galileo's trial by the Catholic Inquisition on the question of the sun-centered solar system begins in Rome. Something that was finally corrected for in 1973. Something along those lines, I think. There's a lot of other dates there, but actually there isn't. But I've got time at the end of the session today, which I doubt. I'll cover it next week. Okay, the rest of those dates. You're tuned to VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, with the regular Friday night cast on these airs. Okay, so that's courtesy of Sky Notes. So if you want to catch up with all that, all I do is type in Sky Notes, but I guess it's because my browser is familiar with it. I get it straight away. But it's the planetarium, Science Works in Melbourne. So the website's basically museumvictoria.com.au. That's what it is. Museum Victoria, all one word. museumvictoria.com.au /Science Works. And just look for Sky Notes, reference to the Sky Notes for April, and you'll see all that information that I read out. You're tuned to ASV Radio, VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel. Now the time is about 18 minutes to 11, sorry. I don't know why the ABC readers struggle with their time calls. Let's see. Because I've got to keep in mind, I've got a report from Tamitha tonight. Tamitha, the space weather woman. She's got a 9-minute video, which I've got to allow a little bit of time for. So I'm just checking this article. It's a little bit on the lengthy side. I might leave that till next week. Okay, I'll bring up this one because this is relatively short. There is a picture for this, so let me just bring up this slide. Okay, radio astronomy. Okay, CHIME to construct Outrigger telescope to search for FRBs at the Hat Creek Radio Observatory, 30th of March 2022. The Canadian Hydrogen Intensity Mapping Experiment, that's what CHIME stands for, that's the acronym for CHIME. The Canadian Hydrogen Intensity Mapping Experiment, and that's the telescope you're seeing on the TV as I speak, is expanding its ability to more accurately identify where fast radio bursts are coming from. CHIME is constructing a new radio telescope Outrigger at the SETI Institute Hat Creek's Radio Observatory, or HCRO, site of the Allen Telescope Array, ATA. The Outrigger will work with the main CHIME instrument in British Columbia's Okanagan Valley and enable CHIME detected FRBs to be precisely located in the sky, or on the sky, localized. In addition to the new radio telescope at HCRO, CHIME is constructing outriggers near Princeton, British Columbia, on land kindly leased to CHIME by the HML mining people at the Greenbank Observatory. We are thrilled to welcome the world-class CHIME team to the Hat Creek Radio Observatory, said Andrew Simon, Bernard M. and Oliver Chair of SETI and the SETI Institute. Hosting a CHIME outrigger represents a phenomenal and complementary addition to the HCRO science mission, they said. HRBs are bright millisecond-wide flashes in the radio spectrum, originating at cosmological distances. As they make their few billion-year journey to Earth, FRBs carry the imprint of the material lying between the galaxies and the stars, making them a significant probe to study these environments. While the current scientific consensus is that FRBs have natural origins, they represent an exciting astronomical phenomenon. Their high degree of spectro-temporal structure and transient nature make them an ideal proving ground for the robust signal processing systems built for technosignature researchers. With the ability to detect 10 to 100 times more fast radio bursts than all other telescopes combined, CHIME has had a radical impact on FRB science. Radical, that's the word. Radical impact on FRB science. The telescope has allowed scientists to observe the vanishingly brief bursts with exquisite time resolution. CHIME's limitation, however, has been its inability to identify with any precision an FRB's origin. The outriggers will enable this radical leap. CHIME's telescope can currently locate the position of a fast radio telescope to a patch of the sky equivalent to the size of a full moon. With the addition of 3 new outrigging telescopes, this patch of the sky can be reduced to the size of a quarter to the size of a quarter, that's a coin, held roughly at 40 kilometers. God. You know, it gives me goosebumps to think they can be able to do things like this. But there it is. To go to the size of full moon on the sky, which is about 5 degrees odd, I think, to the size of a quarter, a coin, a 5-cent coin, I'd say roughly a quarter is, held roughly at 40 kilometres, explained Patrick Boyle, Senior Project Manager for the CHIME FRB Outriggers project and Senior Academic Associate in the Department of Physics at McGill University and all that. Last year's researchers at ATA announced the detection of a bright double-peak radio burst from the repeating source known as FRB 2020-1124A. The ATA has been undergoing a refurbishment program to upgrade the telescope feeds and the digital signals processing systems to improve the sensitivity and the capability of the instrument. This discovery marked the first FRB detection with this nascent system. The SETI Institute will support the construction of the outrigger at the HCRO and looks forward to possible future scientific partnerships when the outrigger comes online. So there it is. Amazing things are set forth to come from the CHIME radio telescope, which is just fantastic. Alright, I'm keeping an eye on the clock. So what I shall do is go to Space Weather Woman's latest solar report on what's happening up there with the sun, and that'll go for about 9 minutes. And so stand by for that. I have to make sure that my audio is up for that, or else no one's going to hear anything. So just stand by. This is a visual thing, so I would really suggest that if you haven't got YouTube running, to find YouTube VK3CSJ on YouTube, or very quickly set up a set-top box so that you can tune into the ATV repeater. Alright, let's see if we can fire up the Space Weather Woman.
Havoc on radio communications, and we have 2 Earth-directed solar storms. Those stories and more in the news this week. This space weather forecast is sponsored in part by Millersville University. Come get certified in broadcast space weather. Visit millersville.edu/SWEN. Space weather this week gets incredibly explosive. As we take a look at our Earth-facing disk, you can see regions 29, 74, 75, 76, and believe it or not, this region 2975 that was sleeping a little while ago, it got some new growth that has exploded. And on the 28th, you can see it right there, wham! It launches an M-class flare. This is an M4 flare. It also launches an Earth-directed solar storm, and we also have a radiation storm that we're dealing with right now. So it's kind of like a triple whammy. And it looks like this region is continuing to grow, and it's actually become an X-flare player. So we may not have seen the end of this thing yet. But before we're even able to calm down from that big M-class flare and that Earth-directed solar storm, region 2975 does it yet again. Whoosh, right there. It launches yet another. We have a big flare player that's been wreaking havoc on radio communications, and we have 2 Earth-directed solar storms. Those stories and more in the news this week. This space weather forecast is sponsored in part by Millersville University. Come get certified in broadcast space weather. Visit millersville.edu/SWEN. Space weather this week gets incredibly explosive. As we take a look at our Earth-facing disk, you can see regions 29, 74, 75, 76, and believe it or not, this region 2975 that was sleeping a little while ago, it got some new growth that has exploded. And on the 28th, you can see it right there, wham! It launches an M-class flare. This is an M4 flare. It also launches an Earth-directed solar storm, and we also have a radiation storm that we're dealing with right now. So it's kind of like a triple whammy. And it looks like this region is continuing to grow, and it's actually become an X-flare player. So we may not have seen the end of this thing yet. But before we're even able to calm down from that big M-class flare and that Earth-directed solar storm, region 2975 does it yet again. Whoosh, right there. It launches yet another Earth-directed solar storm. It's another big halo. So now we have 2 Earth-directed solar storms. It's going to be a 1-2 punch, and aurora photographers need to get ready. Now, as we switch to our far-sighted sun, this is stereo A, and it's looking at the sun just a little bit from the side. You can see region 2975 as it fires off that big M-class flare. Yes, we are still getting radio blackouts from this region, so radio communications is continuing to be disrupted, and that means space traffic. We have to watch out for radio communications with space traffic as well. But you can also see that there are even more regions on the sun's far side, especially in the south. There's some bright regions that are rotating into view, and we might even have some regions in the north, and it does look like they're a little bit flare active as well. So radio communications is definitely going to be impacted this week, and we're going to have to deal with how that impacts space traffic and also for space launch. Switching to our solar storm prediction model, Enlil, this is NOAA's version of the model. The top panel's density, the bottom panel's velocity. You're looking down at the sun from the North Pole with Earth being off to the right. And as you take a look, you can see those 2 back-to-back solar storms being launched from the sun. It's almost as if the sun was machine gunning, just firing them off one at a time, so close together. And they can actually, as they move out towards Earth, it looks like they merge. Now, that's not exactly real. They actually just come in close proximity and compress one another, but this is pretty close. And as they move out, you can actually see the impact at Earth. It's going to be a pretty intense impact because it's going to be a 1-2 punch. The impact should be early on March 31st, and now the NASA version of the model actually shows the impact to be a little bit later, right around 6 UTC on the 31st, but either way, this definitely looks like it could be a really good hit for aurora photographers. Anytime on the 31st, start getting ready because we could easily get aurora down to mid-latitudes. Switching to our moon, we are now passing through the 3rd quarter phase on our way to a new moon, with the new moon being on April 1st. No joke. So you night sky watchers, now's a great time to catch some dim objects in the sky and, I don't know, maybe some aurora coming from maybe back-to-back solar storms that could actually give us some really bright aurora for a really long time over the course of this weekend. And oh my goodness, isn't that be a great April Fool's joke if the sun actually hit us this time? Switching to our solar storm conditions and aurora possibilities over the coming week, we are anticipating the hit from those back-to-back solar storms. Remember, it's going to be a 1-2 punch, so this should be a pretty good storm. At high latitudes, NOAA is expecting major storm conditions. In fact, up to about an 80% chance of a major storm, and that is on March 31st when we expect this storm to hit. But the storming should easily rage on because there's 2 solar storms back to back, and that means we could rage on until about the 2nd or even the 3rd before things begin to calm down at high latitudes. So aurora photographers, man, you're going to get some decent chances. Now at mid latitudes, we are only expecting minor storm conditions, but we have up to about a 45% chance of a major storm. So yes, this could be a G2 level solar storm even down at mid latitudes, which means that aurora chances are good and they will come down to deep into mid latitudes easily over the 31st and possibly through the 1st before things begin to calm down. So aurora photographers, keep your batteries charged because this could be the best show we've had since, maybe November of last year. Switching to our solar flare and particle radiation storm outlook over the coming week. Oh my goodness, look at all the activity on the Earth-facing disk. We have multiple M flare players and an X flare player on the Earth-facing disk right now. Region 2975 is the X flare player. As a matter of fact, NOAA's giving us about a 10% chance of an X-class flare over the next day or two before things begin to calm down, but we have up to about a 50% chance of M-class flares, and it's not just due to region 2975, but region 2976 and region 2978 are also M flare players. So boy, we have a busy sun right now. Of course, this means radio blackouts are on the menu, and that does not make GPS users very happy. So if you're a GPS user, definitely stay vigilant on the dawn and dusk sides of Earth because you could be having problems with GPS reception. Now also amateur radio operators, I know you also have to deal with radio blackouts, and that's kind of tough, but at least the solar flux in the 150 range should make you smile. It sure looks like this is the first time in solar cycle 25 we've hit that high, and these conditions will easily continue over the next few days. It doesn't look like things are going to calm down anytime soon, so enjoy when it's not super noisy on the bands and there's not radio blackouts going on. Enjoy some decent radio propagation on Earth's day side. Now, as we take a look at the particle radiation storms, sadly we are a bit elevated right now, and we do have about a 10% chance of additional radiation storms, actually 20% chance of additional radiation storms over the next 3 or 4 days before things begin to calm down, because we have that region 2975. That region still has to rotate off of the west limb of the sun before our radiation storm risk really begins to go down. So that's going to be a problem for some time. So you frequent flyers, and this does include aircrew who fly over 800 hours annually and fly at high altitudes and high latitudes, you are in the moderate range for radiation dose with an extra risk, and this does include prenatal passengers and high-risk passengers, so please take this into consideration in your flight plans. So the space weather this week has gotten very exciting. Not only do we have multiple big flare players on the Earth-facing disk, but we have an X-flare player as well. And that region has actually launched 2 Earth-directed solar storms kind of back-to-back, just machine gunning them at us. And those should be impacting us right about the 31st. So this means aurora photographers, you could get some aurora clear down into mid-latitudes, and the storming could be extended even until the 2nd or even the 3rd of April before things calm down. So definitely keep your batteries charged. Now, amateur radio operators and emergency responders, well, you know, things are a little bit dicey for you. We've got a lot of good solar flux. We're back well into the triple digits. As a matter of fact, we've hit 150, which is the first time we've done that for this cycle. But, of course, you have to deal with the noise on the radio bands and the radio blackouts. And, oh my goodness, is region 2975 ever going to go away? Yes, it will, but it's going to take probably another 4 to 5 days at least, maybe a little bit longer for it to leave. So you're going to be dealing with that noise for a little while longer. Hang in there. And then when the big solar storm comes, just know that you're going to have to deal with propagation issues on Earth's night side. And that means you're going to probably need to switch to lower frequencies. So just hang in there, things will pass. And now you GPS users, Well, things are really not looking good for you right now, are they? We've got the radio blackouts that cause reception issues on Earth's day side, especially near dawn and dusk. And we've got large solar flux, which means, low latitude GPS reception isn't all that good either. And then on top of that, you're going to have to deal with the big solar storm hitting Earth's night side, which means anywhere near Aurora, you've got to deal with reception issues as well. So just stay incredibly vigilant when it comes to GPS reception, and if you happen to be a drone pilot, be sure to calibrate your magnetometers often. I'm Tamitha Skov, the Space Weather Woman. Thank you for watching.
Okay, thank you, Tamitha. VK3EKH, the official station of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, and that was Tamitha Skov with her solar report. Fortunately, that was just released a day or so ago, and so it's fairly current out to the end of the for at least the next 3 days or so. Okay, now I think I'm working everywhere I can see. Okay. Welcome to Brett there, VK2 CBD, who's also on the chat window. G'day, Brett. And Paul B. Yep. All right. Just a few folks there on the chat window. All right. Now I had another 3 articles there, but I just knew I wouldn't be able to get those in tonight. So we'll go to spaceweather.com and see what that's got to add to the dimension of space weather. I do have a picture of the sun I can bring up, so I shall do that. Once again, the audio disappears. Okay, that's the current disk of the sun. We have 4 sunspots that are recorded on the sun there, and the space weather report here indicates, at least what I shall say, is that the solar wind is currently at 470.5 kilometers a second at a density of 6.2 protons per cubic centimeter. Like I say, there are 4 sunspots on the disk of the sun as we speak, designated as AR 2981, 2978, 2976, 2975 in that order. The sunspot number is currently 84, and the radio sun, oh, this is high. The radio sun is actually travelling at 149 solar flux units, measured at a wavelength of 10.7 centimetres. If you ever wanted a bit of an explanation on the radio sun, how it's measured, the solar flux, there's an explanation, a link just below that on spaceweather.com. You click on that and that'll take you to a very interesting website that talks about how the solar flux is measured as such. Okay, now the other part of the spaceweather.com is there are more coronal mass ejections coming, or are there? That's the actual question. Are there more coronal mass ejections coming? Question mark. Maybe. Well, Tamitha certainly thinks that there's something brewing. A CME launched by Wednesday, it was an X1.3 flare, could deliver a glancing blow to the Earth's magnetic field on the 2nd of April or the 3rd. A second CME launched by Thursday was an M-class 9.6 flare, might be right behind it, they say. We're not certain because the coronagraph images are not yet available to confirm the second CME form and trajectory. Says stay tuned for updates on spaceweather.com. Having said that, I do have the latest image for the aurora borealis over Australis, over Antarctica, and let me just bring that up. There it is. So if you can see that on YouTube and on the TV, we actually do have quite an intense auroral activity occurring folks down in Tasmania should be seeing auroral activity in the sky, especially if you're in South Tassie, on a clear night, clear sky right now. I would say that there is some fairly clear glow in the southern sky at this stage. In fact, even on the mainland, not necessarily right now, but if you've got a clear sky, it's quite possible that there might be a bit of a subtle glow in the sky, green, maybe tinges of red. So it would be very interesting. But that's the current auroral glow over the South Pole as we speak. Very interesting indeed. On that basis, what was else on that space weather report that I didn't mention? Yep, alright. So, and the last thing I always mention is potentially hazardous asteroids. Potentially hazardous asteroids are space rocks larger than approximately 100 meters, and that can come close to Earth by 0.05 AU. None of the known potential hazardous asteroids are on a collision course with our planet, but astronomers are finding new ones all the time. As of the 1st of April, there is 2,272 potentially hazardous asteroids, and all the nearest ones and the ones of significance are listed just below that on spaceweather.com. So, at 6 minutes past the hour, I think we shall conclude our broadcast for tonight. How quick it all goes. Thank you very much for listening to tonight's session, and I hope any of that was of some value tonight, at least. So we shall conclude our service on 160 meters AM. So this is VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel. Any stations listening to the AM service on 160, please send us a report to VK3 EKH at ASV Radio. Sorry, still haven't remembered it. VK3EKH at gmail.com, VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, VK3EKH at gmail.com. Simple as that. So, on behalf of the Astronomical Society of Victoria, this is VK3EKH with VK3CSJ on the microphone. Any further information about the ASV can be found at the website at www.asv.org.au, and all will be explained in further detail. Yes, I will be doing a WIA broadcast, ATV broadcast on Sunday morning at 10:30, from courtesy of Bevan, VK5BD, with his visual representation of the WIA broadcast. I'll be doing that on Sunday morning at 10 via the repeater, TV repeater, and then repeated again at 8 o'clock Sunday night. That'll also be streamed on YouTube, my VK3CSJ YouTube stream as well, Sunday morning, 10 o'clock, 10:30. Oh, and also, there should be also a Radio Timers Club, an old Radio Timers Club news bulletin should be coming out. Is it this Sunday? Will it be this Sunday? I think so. Anyway, stay tuned and you'll see. So apart from all that, we'll be back next week to do it all again at 10 o'clock, so stay tuned, as they say. I don't think there was anything else. This is VK3 EKH, concluding transmissions on 1865 kilohertz, and see you all next week. There'll be a callback on 80 meters, 3541 kilohertz, standby stations on 80 meters. Righto, stations on 80 meters. Grab your linen. Drop your linen and I forget what the term is now. Anyway, that's something from Alien. Drop your linen. What's the other part of that expression? Anyway, this is VK3 EKH, listening on 3541 kilohertz for any stations wishing to check in.
VK3 Juliet Mike Alpha.
VK3 TJ.
VK3 HDX. VK3 AHT.
Oh, I'm hopeless at writing fast. Alright, there was a few stations that jumbled in there, and I'm going to have to filter you guys out. But the ones I've got written down, VK3JMA, VK3HDX, VK3JAH, sorry, VK7JAH, and VK3KHT. Now, who are the other stations that I've lost on that list?
VK Juliet here.
VK3VIN. VK3XL.
Okay, was Graham there, VK3GL?
Yep.
Alright, now there's another couple of stations I still didn't get. So I've got VK3JMA, 3HDX, 3VK7, put 7 in there, Clint. VK7JH, VK3KHT, VK3VIN, 3XL, 3GL. Who else is there?
VK3TJS.
Oh yeah, TJS
VK3JR.
and JR. Excellent. Alright, beautiful. I think that's it. If I missed you out, catch up in just a minute. That's quite a list already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wow. I'm pleased. Alright, see you guys next week. Bye. Mark, VK3JMA, welcome, VK3EKH.
Yeah, no worries, Clint, mate. Fantastic broadcast. I came in about half an hour ago. I thoroughly enjoyed the space weather report. I thought that was very good. I hadn't seen that before, and I reckon that's really, really great. Listened on 80, 160, and of course on ATV, and all signals great. Excellent broadcast, Clint. Thank you very much, VK3JMA.
Yeah, no worries, Mark. Good on you. Thanks for calling in. VK3JMA, VK3EKH, also an avid ATVer, and excellent. Thank you for the reports given there. And yes, the Space Weather Woman is very, very passionate about her interest on the sun. So I always love the expression when she sees a solar flare. Whoosh! Did you see that? Whoosh again! Dear. Alright, enough of that. Thanks, Mark. See you there, Don. VK3HDX, VK3EKH.
Yeah, thanks, Clint. VK3EKH and the group VK3HDX. Great broadcast as usual. Listened on AM tonight through the hi-fi speakers, and it sounded fantastic. I'm really enjoying the AM. So thanks for that. It looks like you've got a full book tonight, so I won't hold it. And we'll see you next week. VK3EKH, VK3HDX.
Oops. I pressed the button on the the mouse. VK3HDX, VK3EKH. Yeah, thanks, Don. Yeah, I when I plug my headphones in on the monitor port for the AM broadcast, the audio sounds bloody marvellous. What I can hear in the headphones, it sounds really hi-fi. So I might end up doing AM here on 80 meters just for the hell of it, but I don't know yet. Anyway, but yeah, thanks, Don. A good report and good signal from you too. You're all good signals tonight too. Well over 9. All right, thanks, Don. To Martin, VK7 JAH down in Tassie, VK3EKH. Yeah, good on you, Martin. VK7JAH, VK3EKH returning. Yes, I can't give you a signal report that over because my changeover relay in the linear is stuck. So I'm just getting a little bit of breakthrough from a little bit of a leakage through the contacts on the relay, but for some reason it doesn't want to switch back to the antenna. So I'm going to have to look into that. So I'm permanently locked on at this stage, but the stronger stations are quite okay. Thanks, Martin, and I'm glad to see I think you said there was nothing heard on 160 tonight, but certainly on 80 meters it was okay. So thanks, Martin. Good. Across to you there, Bill. VK3KHT, VK3EKH.
Thanks again for the program, Clint. Enjoy it on 80 meters and on ASB radio. I have to do something about setting up a 160-metre antenna as well. Be very interested in listening to that, to your program, and of course to look around for others there. Okay, thanks again. It's next, and regards to everyone listening. This is VK3 KHP Bill Penny.
Good on you there, Bill. Thank you very much, dear sir. VK3KHT, VK3EKH replying. Thank you very much for the report. And if my changeover really was working, I'm sure I'd be able to give you a good 10, 15 over 9, not a problem at all, a little bit of QSB. But yeah, thanks Bill, excellent. Ian, VK3VIN, I'm going to go up and tap my linear in a minute. VK3VIN, VK3EKH, have a say.
Yeah, good Clint, VK3EKH, VK3VIN. Using the Zygu and 20 watts tonight, you were 20 to 30 dB over 9 for most of the broadcast. A little bit of phasing, phase distortion as is normal. Then a little bit of gentle QSB took you down to 10 dB over 9, but you came back up again. So you're 20 to 30 dB over again. There we go. Bit of a complex report. Good broadcast. Always enjoy Tamitha, and a couple of things that she said about flares and everything are quite clearly evident in conditions on 40 and 80 metres, although not so much noticeable on 80. So the lower bands are a little bit more predictable and stable at the moment. 40 metres during the day, 80 metres in the evening and late at night. Nothing much else. Oh, just a comment. I'm still getting those notifications during the week. The latest one was yesterday, saying that, telling me that you were on the air live with the ASV broadcast. So I don't know what's going on there. It's nothing significant. But when I do check it out, you're not there. So those notifications are doing some weird things. Anyway, another good broadcast. Thank you so much, and put it back to you. VK3EKH, VK3VIN.
Yeah, thanks Ian, VK3VIN, VK3EKH, excellent. Yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure the reason for that. I'm not doing anything. I know that I leave vMix running because for me to activate YouTube, I do via the vMix program. So I usually leave vMix running. vMix is the digital video mixing program I use for the TV and video side of things, and passing all the video clips that I've got here, pictures and that, over the picture system, the video streaming system. Now, I turn off the YouTube stream when I finish, so why are you getting false alarms? I'm not really sure for that. Maybe what I should do is actually close down the program altogether, vMix, when I'm not using it as such, and maybe that might do something, but I don't know. I'll have to explore that. Yeah, maybe that's what I'll do. Is I'll once I've finished with the video side of things, I'll just close the program and for this week, just for this week, and see if anything comes up. But the next announcement you'll see will be 10:30 on Sunday morning, because I'll be streaming then for the WIO broadcast, and then again at 8 o'clock. So there'll be two streams on Sunday. So there should be two announcements that I've come alive on Sunday. Anyway, we'll see. Thanks, Ian, and I agree with about good old Tamitha. Probably not the right term to use. Next station is good old Mike. VK3XL, VK3EKH. G'day, Mike.
Yeah, g'day Clint, g'day all. VK3XL. Yeah, good audio tonight on all bands. A couple of times recently I've listened in, and it's been a bit scratchy. Signal reports 5.9 plus flat out on 160, 80 metres, and even 5 and 7 on another radio on 80 metres with no antenna connected. So plenty of RF around here, I think. VK3CSJ, VK3XL.
And so there should be. VK3XL, VK3EKH. Thanks, Mike. Good on you. He's one of our local lads. So you're full scale here. Even without the changeover relay switching in, you're still full scale. Thanks, Mike. Thanks very much. And thanks for giving me the notice about the mode too. I wouldn't have seen that. I know that Richard probably would have picked up on it later, but I didn't realise that I was on upper sideband at the first there. Unbelievable. Thanks, Mike. To Mr. Lewis, VK3GL in Bunyip, VK3EKH. G'day, Graham.
Yes, g'day, Queen. Good evening, everyone else who's checked in this evening. VK3EKH. This is VK3GL in Bunyip. There's a signal from you tonight there, Queen. You've been consistently 30 and 40 over 9 on the FT 847 metre this evening, monitoring or listening to you on that. I didn't have a listen on 160.
Wish you did.
I'm actually working this evening, so this is just a little bit of a gap in between some jobs. But listen to nearly all of the broadcasts, so well done. And as usual, plenty of valuable information. I guess it's exciting times again, seeing that what's happening with the space weather and everything, especially with the way that the bands have been starting to pick up, and certainly with some really good propagation on 10 metres. It's been quite interesting, that's for sure. Anyway, as we usually say each week when I call up, I'll see if we catch up with you over the course of the weekend. Maybe, perhaps. Alright, thanks again for the broadcast, mate. And if I'm free at the end of the broadcast, might have a few more words, but that depends on whether or not I'm otherwise occupied with work stuff. Good evening to everyone else who's called in this evening. Good signals all around. Everyone's Q5 here and well above S9. VK3EKH, VK3GL.
Thanks, Graham. VK3GL, VK3EKH. My changeover relay clicked in on your signal, so I can give you a 30 dB over 9 type signal. So quite strong yourself coming through tonight. Thanks for the report. Glad that you're able to listen to most of it in between doing other things there too. So excellent stuff. And yeah, hopefully we'll cross paths over the weekend. Thanks for coming around with the new vehicle the other day too. It was great to see the new car. It looks really, really nice indeed. So very impressed. Thanks, Gray. Jack up at Chipperton, VK3TJS, VK3EKH.
VK3EKH, this is VK3TJS. Good evening to Glenn and everyone that's joining us, and Graham and Ian. And like everyone else has said, broadcast was terrific and excellent signals. You're hitting 35 over on peaks here in Shepparton, so your amplifiers are working quite nicely. And interesting broadcast, and really good night for HF. It's terrific. It's like sitting at listening to hi-fi. And thanks very much for running it, and hope everyone's got a good weekend and enjoy it, and I'll catch up with you next time. VK3EKH, this is VK3TJS at Shepparton.
Good on you there. Thanks, Jack. VK3TJS Shepparton, VK3EKH replying. Very good. Thank you for the report. Sounds good. And it's always nice when you've got a decent signal to armchair copy type stuff and sit back and listen to. It's always difficult when the signals are in the noise and lots of QSB and so. But I'm pleased that the 160 metre service is working quite well too, and I'll continue to run the AM side of it for a while to come. I think it's quite good. At least locally, I suspect that the AM signal is being heard quite well. It's vertically polarised, so it should be okay for 160. All right, thanks, Jack. Good signal from you too. You're 20 over 9, so not a problem here. Frank, g'day, mate. VK3JR, VK3EKH.
VK3EKH, VK3JR. Yes, very good broadcast. Canopus is all the highlights. Everybody, he's lovely. I'd like to meet her.
She's got such enthusiasm. Gary Dealey, if you're still listening, I imagine you are, and everyone else. And the Exoplanets is 4681, confirmed with another 9 awaiting confirmation. Otherwise, not much to say, but they're just very interesting up and down and strange. Good. Thanks for doing things very interesting as usual, and talk soon next week probably. VK3JR.
Thanks, Frank. VK3JR, VK3EKH, you're about 20 over 9. Now my changeover relay is working. You can see that. Thanks, Frank, for the, I think you said 4681 for the exoplanet. It's interesting because one of the articles I read out first tonight was the NASA has announced a new tally of 5,000 planets around other stars. So maybe the website or the app hasn't been updated yet. But they're saying NASA is actually announcing that they've now cracked the 5,000 exoplanet number. So yeah, maybe a little bit more exploring on that one might be needed. But yeah, thanks, Frank. Good on you, and we'll catch up with you a little later on 160 if Steve comes up. Okay, now, was there any other stations we should check in? VK3EKH.
VK3BRS.
Oh, a DX station. Yes, go ahead, Richard. VK3VRS. First time on HF, I think, is it? VK3EKH.
Yeah, Clean, I thought I might just pop in and say hello on HF, because Amy keeps on annoying me and calling me I have to.
Oh, did you put it back to me? Oh, did you put it back to me? Oh, okay. VK3VRS, VK3EKH. Yeah, no worries, Richard. Just come back with a bit of a whistle, if you can.
1, 2, 3.
Was that a whistle? All right, you're about 10 over 9. Could be stronger, but yeah, 10 over 9 on that. If it was a whistle, I don't know what you were doing, but anyway, all right. Thanks, Richard. Good on you. You make the 10th station, I think, tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, you're the 10th caller inner. So marvelous stuff. Anyway, thanks to everybody on the chat window that called in. Martin, VK7JH, Kim, VK5FUSE. Clear skies in Adelaide tonight, he says. Perfect clear sky in Adelaide, so not a problem. And it looks like you're heading out with the telescope and mosquito repellent. Very good. I should do the same, really. And Paul B, he says RTV1 active on BATC. Yeah, the BATC feed is a little flaky, to use that term, so not too sure. Actually the TV repeater is going through a little bit of a dilemma as well at this stage, so anything could be happening. But it looks like I've been holding the repeater perfectly well for the night. And Mike, VK3XL, thanks for leaving messages. And Kim again, Paul and Robert, VK3XRA. Where's my mouse? I've got to click it to work it. Yeah, there we go. Wrong screen. Come on. There we go. Yeah, and Brett, thanks for calling in. VK2CBD. And good pictures up there on Facebook too, with the two Yagis pointing up. So Brett's into radio astronomy in a big way. So thanks for the report on 80 metres. We've got a new station there, Steve. Yeah, okay. I'm listening at the Barring Up near Melbourne on 80 metres. Great signal being received on a cheap SDR and makeshift ACF dipole. Your 160 metre AM signal is very weak, however, but that's okay. Yeah, alright, no worries. Near Melbourne. Barring Up. sure if I know where that is, but anyway, near Melbourne. Anyway, thanks, Steve. He's a new chap to the chat window there, and I think that's about it. I think. Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody calling in on the chat window, and here we are. There's an email that's just come in from Steve. Yep. Okay. Same message basically. All right. Yep. No worries. Thanks, Steve. Good on you. Thanks for calling in. Really good. Excellent stuff. Alright, so I shall conclude the service tonight. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and any further information can be found on the ASV website, www.asv.org.au, for all your information on the society, of which this broadcast is on behalf of. We've been doing this now, the broadcast here has been now running since 1988. And I've been on the microphone for probably about 12 years of that time. More information about the station here can be gleaned from qrz.com, so just type in VK3EKH in qrz.com and you'll see pictures of the station, and I think there's a picture of me there as well, taken about 20 years ago. I prefer to keep that there. And of course the VK3CSJ, which is the same station. I'm in Studio A, and the rest of the station's in Studio B. So this is VK3EKH concluding service tonight. Thanks for watching, listening, and putting up with me, and we'll see you all next Friday. And to everybody on YouTube, thanks for watching. If there is any, we'll see you all next Friday again, and again on the WA broadcast, and also look out for the ATV net on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. We're getting there. The ATV net Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, hosted by Neil, VK3BCU. This is VK3EKH Clear, closing down on 3541. Cheers everyone, take care.
Almost no told.
About what?
The Astronomical Society, VK3 Alpha Oscar Bravo here in Linton. I'm 30 km southwest of Ballarat. Nice signals from you guys too. I just turned it on, and I had forgotten all about the Astronomical Society. Anyway, there you go. That's who it is here. Name's Brick here. Bravo Romeo India Tango Tango.
Oops, pressed the wrong button. I've got two radios, 160 and 80 metres side by side. I keep hitting the wrong button all the time. Thanks, Britt. VK3AOB, VK3EKH. Not a problem. Good signal from you, and you make the 11th station tonight, so excellent stuff indeed. Yeah, we're doing this every Friday night, Britt. Not a problem. It's like I say, the broadcast has been going to air since 1988, VK3EKH, and it was the first 20 years was run by Russell Ward, VK3DRW, and then I took over, I think about 12 years ago, while he went on a bit of a sojourn around Australia, and so I've been doing it ever since. And since I've been doing it, I've included the TV transmission, YouTube, audio streams, and yeah, I think that's about it. And the simulcast on 160, and of course the prime frequency is here. So no worries, Britt. You can catch us again next Friday at 10 o'clock on the noggin. VK3AOB, VK3EKH, VK3CSJ on the micro. Name is Clint.
Yeah, fine, Clint. Yeah, no, I used to do ATV in Melbourne when I was at Eastfield Heights for 30 years or so. And I'll miss it a little bit, but there's no one to send pictures to around here. I'm in a town that's surrounded by hills and forests, and we're smothered in wildlife here, kangaroos and birds and echidnas and yeah, all sorts of stuff. So that's good. Yeah, I must remember that. I'll make a note of the frequency here. You'll probably hear from me again. I've been on paid chat for a little while with the antenna farm being too hard to work on through the winter. It's wet and soggy and not pleasant, so
been doing that. Yeah, anyway, yeah, it's all good. Yeah, nice tickling. Also, almost, I'm just nudging plus 40 dB above S9, so I'm getting into this neck of the woods quite nicely. VK3, EKH, VK3, Alpha, Oscar Bravo.
VK3 AOB, VK3 EKH. Yeah, very good. Yes, well, being in a bit of a valley where you are might be a bit difficult for the ATV repeater. You're probably aware that the TV repeater is now located just behind the police academy. It's Mount View. It's actually called Mount View. The Board of Works radio tower, which is just located behind the police academy, Wheelers Hill, used to be up at Alinda. Probably Alinda offered a somewhat better elevation for further distance, although it just depended on where you are. But yeah, the new location for the VK3 RTV is actually proving to be quite good. It's bringing in quite a lot of local amateurs now that are interested. I think it's about 30 stations, I think, is the list on ATV. Not all of them show up at the same time, but it's 100 watts. It runs 100 watts on DVB-T2 high HD, and I'm broadcasting on 1255 DVB-S currently. I do have a high definition transmitter, but it's currently being looked at. It's got a bit of a fault, but still, the picture's up there as solid as it is, being digital. And yeah, the call sign does ring a bell. AOB, it certainly does ring a bell. So it's a shame that you can't get a view into to Melbourne on that. Yeah, but nevertheless, certainly when I come up on TV, certainly for the broadcast and for the WAA broadcast, the visual representation one, I run the video stream which can be found just using my call sign in the YouTube stream, YouTube search engine, I should say. So that at least provides some visual, because when I do the broadcast, I do run a number of images associated with the articles that I read out. So I always like to try and put up the odd picture and graphic, and if there's any short videos that I can run, I'll do that, courtesy of whoever it is. And of course the Space Weather Woman, who is quite legitimate with the space weather report that she gives, and unfortunately it doesn't come out every week. Sometimes when it does get released, it's a little 9-10. I don't know if you heard that. I live on Cranbourne Road here in Narre South, and Cranbourne Road is just like any other blasted road. It carries idiots, and there was a car that just launched itself from the set of lights here at full pelt, and it really is annoying. It annoys the crap out of me. That's another story. But yeah, so I lost the train of thought, but who cares? Oh, TV, yeah, that's it. Yeah. So there you go. That's it. Thanks, Brett, for calling in. Good to hear you, and yeah, it'd be good to see if you can remember to come up next Friday for sure. VK3 AOB in Linton, VK3 EKH Narre Warren South.
Yeah, fine, no problem. It's all good. Yeah, it's a 42-year veteran of the television industry. Channel 10 for 16 and a half years, and then I was freelance after that for the remaining years. So I worked for a major outside broadcast company, and that did all the Channel 9 and 10's outside broadcast stuff, and then later on 7 came on board when they decided to give them the footy, and yeah, it was good. Retired now and living the quiet country life and loving it. Don't want to know about work anymore. Yeah, so yeah, did ATV. When did I start that? 1984, and I finished last transmission was in February 2010. I de-rigged everything. Mum died, had to auction the house off and move on, and so it all got pulled apart. Breaks my heart that some good stuff went to the tip. Or I wasn't in a good frame of mind at the time, and radio took a back seat. So anyway,
that's another story.
Getting active again. All right, now I'll come up next Friday night, I guess. Been up to the local pub playing pool for a little while with people up there, and continue work tomorrow on the HF antenna system there. I've got 80 metres running that jet at the minute. We've got masts to put up, guy ropes and stuff. It's going to take a while. But nice signal. It's nudging plus 40 dB here. It's getting up this way quite nicely. Anyway, I'll get lost. It's time to go to bed. The K3 EKH. The group, I guess there's one there, the K3 AOB.
No, it's just you and me. VK3 AOB, VK3 EKH. Yeah, excellent. Good to hear the story there. And did you know a John Watkins that I think used to work for Channel 10 there for a little while?
What was his name?
John Watkins. He's an old friend of mine from way back. He used to be at Channel O and then moved across to Channel 9, and I think he went from Channel 9 to Channel 10 depending on whatever was the situation. But John Watkins, he's from what I last know of John, used to work in that side of the TV industry there for quite a while.
The name rings a bell. It would have been early days Channel O, because I started there in 1978, and I think he was there. That might have been there a year or two or something, I'm not sure. But anyway, names and people come and go. It's one of that sort of industry. So yes, I remember the name. I'm not sure if I remember him. I vaguely remember him. But what was he, chief engineer, or I forget what was it, in maintenance or what?
He had a call sign, VK3EW, VK3 Echo Whiskey was his call, and he used to be, when I first met John, he was working up at Channel O transmitter, Mount Dandenong. He had a shift up there, night shift basically. He used to shut down the transmitter when he used to close down. So that you're talking about 1975, 74, 75 time. It's when I was learning my my radio theory for the license, and John was one of my teachers for learning about radio theory, and helped me build a homemade AM transmitter using valve technology, which was really an amazing thing to do. So so John used to work up at he was had his broadcast ops and stuff for being up there at the channel ATVO, and I was had a chance to go up to the old RCA transmitters a couple of times late at night, and used to watch John do the process of shutting down the transmitter. It was an amazing place to be, particularly on windy nights, because if there was a bit of a wind up there at Mount Dandenong, you'd hear the tiles in the ceiling go for a bit of a creak. And I remember asking John, why is the suspended ceiling creaking? And he says that's the tower. The tower's so deeply embedded into the mountaintop that the whole top of the mountain's slowly moving, and so the building was creaking. And I'm thinking, right, that's interesting. Never forget that. So those were the days of Channel O, of course, and the big, huge RCA transmitter, beautiful transmitter, really was. Those were the days. But he was up there to the point where they transitioned from Channel O to Channel 10, and so the RCA transmitters were being closed down. Not sure whatever happened to them, but they got NEC transmitters in for Channel 10, and the NEC transmitters used to use, and probably still do, forced air to keep them cool. And from last time I remember being up there, the NEC transmitters were so noisy because of the forced air that the operators up there had to be put into a soundproof room. I don't know what it's like these days up there. In fact, I don't think you've got chaps up there anymore that to keep an eye on things. Everything is done pretty much remotely, and if anything fails, then they send someone up there to take a look. So it's a very different world. Television these days, but I do remember the NEC transmitters and the soundproofed room where the technician, broadcast technician, would sit and monitor things. Those were the days. But I don't blame you. You don't want to be remembered of those days. It's too long gone, and I'm very close to retiring myself. I'm 61, but I'm looking after my 95-year-old mum, and I'm in a position where I'm having to think about retiring so I can look after 100 full time. So yeah, I'm sort of leading into that road now, and I can't wait to retire, mate. I can't wait to not have to worry about work anymore. So I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, Britt, for coming up. Really good to hear you. VK3AOB, VK3EKH.
Yeah, fine, no problem. Very good. Yeah. I do remember, I vaguely remember him. Bob Rosenthal was running the transmitter when
that's another name.
Started there, and I asked to go have a look, and they said, yeah, no worries. So I radioed him, and I finished my shift. And I think it was 1978 it would have been, or early 79. I was there through till 1995. The tent had moved out before that, a couple of years before, to Como, and then the company I was at was basically a holding company, and we sort of found out the hard way that production was, the way we had known it, was not going to happen anymore. Neighbours was still being produced. I continued to work on that for 20 years. And then I was working for other companies doing, there was a outside broadcast company doing Sevens football. I started with them in 2006, and when did I finish? Where are we? 2022. I think it was about 17, I think. 16 or 17. 18, I forget. Anyway, yeah, I was doing a lot of stuff. Yeah, crew unit supervisor on some stuff, and did a lot of jobs, a lot of technical stuff, links. Anyway, yeah, I'm happy to be retired. I love it now. It's quiet, and you can call your own tune. So currently working on the antenna foam out the back, which I've strung up. I've got 3 35-foot poles I've got to get up in the air and guide. With hazards on them, I've got to basically setting up a multi-band fan dipole, and I'll get that up and running. So I don't know how long it's going to take, but anyway, it's yeah, it's quite a lot of work involved. I've got some footings I was trying to put in, and I forget who makes them, Stramit. They're galvanised, they're about a couple of foot long, basically a tapered tubular arrangement with a spiral flange welded to it. They're cold dip galvanised, and you screw them into the ground, and you've got a C-shaped saddle that you put your flooring timbers into, or floor joists, and then you build from there. You would put in 4 or 6 of them. I'm using them to support the mast at the base. You drill a hole through it so you can at least, I've got how it is so I can haul the thing up. But I was trying to screw them in, and the weather we've had is the ground's going dry, and it's the screws down so far, and then it stops. The ground underneath is very hard, and it just turns into a drill that drills all the dirt out. So I'm going to have to forget about that until we've had a very wet winter and the ground's soggy. I can drive them in. So in the meantime, I'm just going to rig the antenna system so that it works and is usable. And yeah, I'll finish it off. I need the height of the mast to get the dipoles to fan out and put them in the right position. So anyway, yeah, it's good, it's interesting. We must chat again one night. So 10 to 12, so I'll go clear and I'll come up next week. VK3 Echo Kilo Hotel, VK3 Alpha Oscar Bravo, VK4BNQ.
Alright, VK4BNQ has called in. Just writing that down. Okay, Brett, excellent stuff. I think we've got, there's another fellow on in the list here too that's had a bit of television experience and I think still does to some degree. Don, VK3HDX, who called in earlier this evening. I know Don's very much into the world of television, and I don't know whether Dennis is listening, but Dennis VK3WV is an old television person too from way back, but he's only had a very short experience in the TV world. And one of the amateur, well, look, I know there's a few amateur television operators here too that in Melbourne that have come up from those ranks too with the television, commercial television. So they're all probably watching too. Anyway, all right. There was something else I was going to say too about all that. Oh yeah, okay, on your antennas and screwing the thread thing device, whatever, into the ground. Actually, there's going to be a bit of rain this week, and I don't know whether it will extend up to central Victoria, but I know that they're already issuing flood warnings for East Gippsland. And certainly if you look at the satellite imagery, there's a lot of cloud that's coming off Tasman Sea heading into East Gippsland, and so there is apparently going to be a fair bit of rain over this weekend, so if you're lucky you might get some. Probably not enough though, but anyway, yeah, I know what you're saying. I live on an acre and a half. Yeah, just a little bit less than an acre and a half here in Narre Warren, and I've got 2 Nelly towers up, and the antenna that I use for 160 is a vertical monopole down the back paddock. That's what I refer to as the back paddock, and it's right next to a creek. We have a Troops Creek, they call it, Troops Creek, that runs past the property, or more affectionately known as the Hallam Main Drain. And when it floods onto our property, but I've got that antenna right next to the creek, so I don't need any radials on the 160 metre antenna. There's enough ground conductivity to work very well. But we need a bigger property though, because I'd like to put up a few more antennas, to be honest, and actually something that works on 650 metres too. I would be keen at some stage too, but well, that's another story. Anyway, thanks Brett. Look, I'll put it across to the VK4 station. He might have something he wants to contribute, so and say to you, maybe a signal report. So VK4 Bravo November Quebec, I think it was, VK4BNQ, VK3 EKH in Melbourne. Go ahead.
VK3 EKH in the group, VK4BNQ. Thank you very much. Good evening to you both. You're talking now to the person who switched the first episode of Neighbours to air at Channel in Melbourne from Co-Ord. Roger is the name, Romeo Oscar Golf Echo Romeo. You're both 5 and 9 plus 15. I couldn't help but to break in, so I'm sorry to do that. I know Britt wants to get away there. I think that's right, 3AOB. You're both 5, 9 plus 15, and as I was tuning around the band quickly before also retiring, I thought there's a couple of strong signals, and I thought they're probably VK4s, and lo and behold, you're VK3, so you're doing very well. And then I heard you talking about Channel 10, and I thought, my God, I'll have to say hello. So I don't have your name there
get away, and then it goes around in a circle. I suppose is the easiest as well. So yeah, Georgia here, Romeo Oscar Golf Echo Romeo. You've got the call sign correct, Bravo November Quebec, and location is just east of Gympie. They're a couple of hours north of Brisbane. VK3 AOB in the group, VK4 BNQ. Yeah, fine, Roger, no worries, very good. You switched the first episode of Neighbours to our, let's say, something, so it's like 1985 or something. Yeah, 78, and I was put on, I started in staging, and I'd spent all of 1977 at Boxhill TAFE, like a couple of nights a week doing the amateur radio licence. I was in a panel band club with and mates, and we all had CVs and that sort of thing fitted to cars. They were very handy. And I bought the TRC-47, which is a realistic, handiest realistic brand, 23-channel sideband thing, and yeah, it worked quite well. And that generated the interest. So I thought, well, CB's pretty limiting. And so I did the course in 77, and I passed the novice. When did I? Oh, that's right, I got, yeah, passed. Was it November, I think we did the exam. And, no, sorry, 78 it was, November 78. And I couldn't get the licence till the Postal and Telecommunications Department opened again in January 79. And so I raced down there one lunchtime and got the licence and never looked back. But anyway, yeah. It was a good place to work. Channel O was like a country town. I think 1985 or 86 there were about 650 people working there. We had pretty much the height of the zenith of the television industry at that time. And then things changed with the cross-media ownership, and that killed it, and it went downhill from there. So there's that political party I won't vote for anymore. Anyway, the upshot of all of it, it was a good place to work, good people. You'd spring out of bed and race to work, couldn't wait to get to work, because we're always doing something different. And also, you get experience, you're doing different jobs, so I enjoyed it. I think television now is a bit sad. It's the personal computer and the internet has done it a lot of damage, so it's just the way it is, isn't it? Radio had its start and was tops for 3 or 4 decades until television started, and then television bit into it somewhat. But the computer came along and that's damaged both of them, so they're not as profitable as they once were. But anyway, there you go. Nice signal from, I know, sort of you'd be driven through there a few years back in a truck overnight. I had to drive a truck from Melbourne up to Townsville. I forget what we were doing. What was it? I drove to Boondle, the sports and entertainment centre there, but it's a couple of day drive, and I remember going through around in force as the sun was setting, and the control people.
I will. You don't want to get up, you don't want to use the repeater for anything though, because I'll drop off otherwise.
Yeah, I'm waffling on a bit. VK3 EKH. I'm not encouraged about this. I thought you guys were wanting it coming up to midnight. VK3 EKH and the group VK3.
Oh, just turn that down. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Britt. I'm still running the station call sign, the club call sign here. So I probably should shut down things. To be honest, I've finished with tonight's session. So and I've had one other station just quickly let me know to put his call sign down on the list here too. So I shall do that. VK3VAT. Yeah, okay, Roger. Good to catch up. You're about 15 to 20 over 9 down here. Brett's coming in at about 25 to 30. So all good signals on the band tonight. That's for sure. I haven't got the same experience with television that you guys have got. I certainly didn't come up through the ranks of the TV stations, but I certainly know, like yourselves, I certainly know folks that have had their time with the commercial television world, and it's as you say, Brett, it's certainly had its heyday. The early days of TV, the black and white days, certainly where everybody was learning as they went. It was a completely new thing, and how interesting it was. So those were the days, yeah, absolutely. And I'm quite happy to be doing our own form of TV through the amateur circles, so it's quite good indeed. Okay, Roger, name is Clint, by the way. Charlie Lima India November Tango. Clint is the name. The home call sign's VK3CSJ. VK3 Charlie Sierra Juliet is my call. VK3EKH is the official call sign for the Astronomical Society of Victoria, and every Friday night I run a broadcast on 3541 on behalf of the Society, using their official call sign VK3EKH. So that's what you've basically stumbled in on is the finishing up of the broadcast, which runs for about an hour. I usually kick it off at 10 o'clock, and I broadcast on 80 and 160, and on YouTube. As Britt says about the internet getting into the way of things these days, it's certainly one of the biggest things these days, isn't it? So I provide a YouTube stream, and we're also, as we speak, I'm actually on YouTube and broadcasting by the Melbourne television repeater VK3RTV. So which is all HD these days, so digital, and doing good things. Peter Cousins, VK3BFG, works very hard to keep that repeater up and running, including a whole swag of others. So there it is. Anyway, look, I'm going to finish here too and leave the scene. So thanks for calling in, Roger. Really good, and good that you shared the story there with Brett. That's really good. So I'll pop it back up to you there, Roger. VK4BNQ in Gympie, and hopefully you haven't been suffering too much with the floods up there where you're located. VK3EKH / VK3CSJ. Take it away, Roger.
Yeah, thanks, Clint. VK3EKH / VK3CSJ. Got that. There's a VK4BNQ. Radio. Well, I'll keep it short, but I must run through very briefly. I think we've got so many things in common. I first got my life for ham radio. I started with a bit of CB pirating there on just 11 metres. I live in Ringwood. I'm born in Melbourne and spent the first 28 years of my life there. So, yeah, back in 1972 onwards, I played with CB radios, and then about 1975 I got my first novice call sign, VK3NFL, and a year later I upgraded to VK3BNQ, so I kept the BNQ, and that was that. So that was about 1976, 1977, that sort of time. I worked at Channel 10 from around about 1984 to somewhere around about 1986, so not very long, unfortunately. And yes, it was a fantastic place to work at. Although I never got used to some of the shift work. because, see, I started in Telesini because I had a bit of cinema experience and also could type at 60 words a minute. So they thought, well, that makes sense within Telesini, where we also had the Coronal and the Vidicon machines. So, and that just kind of made sense. So that's where I started. But then when the station went 24 hours, which I think was taking MTV from Sydney. I think that's what was the reason for it, from memory. They needed somebody extra in Chelmsford, and I was offered a position, so I took that, and as it turned out, yes, I'm not exactly proud of it, because I never watched it, to be honest, but yes, I did switch the first step of Neighbours to air, and there's a few other stories there as well. Anyway, so I worked in the on-air department rather than the technical side, but quite often the young apprentice there, I can't remember his name offhand, but he would often come and talk to me and bounce a few ideas and things off me, because he knew I had a little bit of electronic experience there. Anyway, I certainly remember your name, Brett, I think I remember seeing your name in countless numbers of credits, probably staging, but I'm not sure where you ended up, because I think you might have went into different departments, but I wasn't there for very long, but I was certainly quite busy while I was there. Anyway, we won't go on too long. Thanks, Clint, for the explanation on the club call sign there, and that now makes sense. And also you mentioned VK3RTV, that brings back memories. I'm sure it's all digital these days, but I used to play around with ATVs when I was in Melbourne, not big times, but I did build up some boards and things like that, and I did receive RTV and like that sort of thing, but I did then eventually leave Melbourne, and not long after I worked at Channel 10 actually, and started heading north, and ended up here in the end. And we're up high, and floods didn't affect us, so we just couldn't go anywhere for a few days, but it wasn't a problem anyway, so I quite enjoyed having a break. I'm just about to turn 62 in about 2 weeks, and also more or less retired. I'm a volunteer driver for the local students range here, and that's the Mary Valley Rattler. I also drive some other locomotives and run and things for them, and I certainly did start off a little bit with the pumping billy, but only as a kid and only as a passenger. Anyway, that'll do. That's plenty. Thank you very much for sticking around a little bit later than probably you both wanted to, but it's been great catching up, and I'll try to call in a little bit more on a regular basis. I have a look at QRZ.com page and see what I can read there, and much appreciated anyway. All the best, guys. 7-3, and thanks again for letting me come in and bring back some old memories. Fantastic. Over to you there, Brett. Sorry for the long over. VK3 AOB in the group, VK4BNQ. Yeah, fine, Roger, no worries. Is your surname Stearley?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
I remember you, yes. Blonde hair and very slim. We all, the three, there was a group of us like Leslie Marsland and Mary Ann Tyrrell. I was doing, when did I go? I went into Telesini start of November, probably the first. November, December, January, and then the end of February I went back to staging again. You probably remember it was a very political, there were a couple of people there that were, you would remember the stories. I'm trying to remember the name of the other guy that was in with us. We had George Baker is running the department, so I spent all my time colour grading on the Telescope, the Mark III, mostly, and I'd come back from dinner and find that the you're running a black and white movie and somebody's switched on the burst flag when it should have been switched off. So, I just thought, no, I don't need this sort of crap. So I went back to doing back to where I had overtime, and anyway, that's a long story. But who was the other guy that was in the department? I can't remember him. I remember him. There's the women. There's Julie Parks. How many? It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 people, I think. Anyway, I enjoyed the work, but it got a bit problematic, shall we say, in the last month or so. Back to you.
Yeah, okay, Brett. Absolutely. I remember you now. Now that you started, I knew you, but I just couldn't remember offhand that we actually worked in the same department. I remember Marianne. And Marianne didn't get on with George and vice versa in the end. I think that was not so good, and she ended up going to ENG. As far as I remember, and maybe Julie, I remember her too. There's another one that funny one. I can't think of her name right at the moment, but it will come to me. David, he was a funny chap with long hair there, a real night owl, David. And there was another guy, I don't know, was it Ross or something? Ross, also blonde hair. He was bigger than me. He was a fairly newcomer there. He wasn't the best at colour grading. Actually, I've got a spike deficiency in red green in my colour perception. Very, very slight. I didn't even know I had it until later on. Actually I didn't know before then, but I never noticed it. But I only knew it because I had to do some colour tests for getting my aviation licence, but that's another story. But I passed all that work Lansing tests 100%, so it's very, very slight. And I've never had a problem reading resistors, colour codes, all that sort of thing. Funny though, isn't it, how I ended up doing colour grading. But I don't think I was the best. The girls were always the best at doing it anyway. And I do remember some of that nonsense going on, but I think I had already moved or was moving to co-ord. And honestly, I probably, if it was all still the same, I'd probably still be working there. It was terrific working there in most respects. At the shift work, I didn't like that, especially when I had to get up at 2:30 in the morning to start at, come in at 3 in the morning. That was pretty hard going, and I think she went home at about 10 or 11 in the morning. Anyway, back to you there, Rick.
They're leaving me out.
Roger, no worries. Yeah, brings back memories, yeah. It was just very political. There's Leslie Marsland, that's the other name I was thinking of. She married a guy that worked at 7. I was working with him.
All right, I'll just fade them down for the moment.
Channel 7.
And what I'll do is I'll conclude what I'm doing here. So thanks for everybody for watching, and for those who are still hanging in there listening to the conversation on 80 metres between two television people. So on that note, thanks for watching, and for joining us with this week's ATV session. So I shall close down the YouTube stream on that. So this is Clint Jeffrey, VK3CSJ, with VK3EKH, the official station of the ASV, concluding today's 2nd of April now. How quick it's gone. Anyway, cheers everybody, take care, look after yourselves. We're clear. Where's that video stream again? There it is. All right.